everyone. Before I will start my video, let me introduce myself first. So I am Entrina, currently studying at no.4 campus, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Filipino. In this video, let us talk about the comparison of the educational system in the Philippines and Jordan by these following questions. So the first question is, what are the teacher's qualifications? Second, the professional engagement and support to the teacher. Third is the sample of faculty development program. And lastly, what are the organizational structure in Philippines and the chosen course? So first, let us talk what are the qualifications of the teachers here in the Philippines and in my chosen country, which is the Jordan. So first, let us talk about the Philippine qualification of a teacher. So taking a Bachelor of Elementary Education or the Bachelor in Secondary Major, take the pass of the board licensure examination for professional teachers, process your license and other documents at PRC, and process your application at DepEd. The standard teaching credential in the Philippines is a 4-year Bachelor of Degree. Elementary school teachers are qualified through a Bachelor of Elementary Education and secondary school teachers through a Bachelor of Secondary Education. The curriculum of both those programs are tailored to the level of education is set by Commission of Higher Education and consists of general education subjects, education-related subjects, subject specialization, and practical teaching. For those with a bachelor degree in other field can also qualify to becoming a teacher by completing a postgraduate program in education. These postgraduate programs range from 1 semester and 1 year in length and are completed by awarding credential, most commonly referred as a certificate of professional education. In Jordan country, their teaching pathway are first is undergraduate level. Most universities in Jordan follow the English American education system and associated with many American and English universities. Bachelor's degrees normally take 4 years. In dentistry, pharmacy, and engineering studies last for 5 years. In medicine, they last for 6 years, followed by an internship which lasts for 1 year. The Bachelor of Degree requires a total of 126 to 257 credits hours depending on the field of study. Second is the postgraduate level. A master's degree is awarded after a further 1 to 2 years study following a bachelor degree. It can be obtained either by coursework and thesis. Example of these are the 24 credit hours of courses and 9 credit hours for research. Or by coursework, 33 credit hours. And in comprehensive examination, there are other postgraduate degrees equivalent to the master's degree in some Jordanian university. Like the Magister in the German Jordanian University or the DEA degree in the universities which follow the French system and the MBA for the students who have significant work experience. Third is the doctorate. A doctorate degree is awarded after 3 to 5 years of further study and submission of an original dissertation. It requires, depending on the subjects, 24 credit hours of course work and 24 credit hours of research. Teacher of education, training of pre-primary and primary or the basic school teachers. Basic school teacher must hold a bachelor degree. Training of secondary school teachers or the secondary school teachers must hold a bachelor degree and 1 year postgraduate higher diploma in education, training of higher education or the teachers. They must hold a doctorate or the PhD. In some cases, a master degree is sufficient. The second question is, what are the professional engagement and support of a teacher? So here in the Philippines, the department supports our professional development of its personnel, especially those at the schools and learning centers. Hence, professional development activities shall be adequately supported through a allocation of funds. DepEd Secretary Leonor Magtolis Briones noted. These new guidelines stipulated in DepEd Order Number 30 2021, multi-year implementing guidelines on the allocation of utilization of the HRD fund for teachers and school leaders. Established coverage that defines an HRD funds to public school teachers and school leaders. Eligible activities and allowed expenses under the HRD funds cover in the service training for teachers or the INSET, program support funds or the PSF, and central office managed activities related to the professional development and training of teachers and students. By establishing these guidelines, DepEd look forward to improving the competency of public school teachers and school leaders, proper utilization of the HRD fund, and increase in the percentage of the school conducting learning action cell or the LAC sessions. DepEd continues to streamline guidelines and provision the secure proper budget allocating for the upcoming upskills of our personnel, especially our teachers, to help them adjust to the new challenges in education. The Chief of Staff and HRD Fund Portfolio Manager Pomosino Malaluan said, previously, all programs, activities, and projects geared towards the continuing professional development of teaching and non-teaching personnel in public school and learning centers, including the teaching personnel who perform managerial, administrative and supervisory roles of the school division. Regional and central offices are funded under the HRD funds provided in the General Appropriation Act or the GAA. This year, the 21 GAA allocated a separate fund for the professional development solely in non-teaching personnel called the Organizational and Professional Development for Non-Teaching Personnel. And in my chosen country, which is the Jordan, similar to the United States, Jordan schools starts in the fall. Jordan is a small nation in the Middle East between Saudi Arabia and Israel and Syria. However, the school year marks the second year in a row where many Jordanian schools closed down to widespread teacher strikes. During September 2019, the 140,000 teachers who were a part of Teachers Syndicate, a Jordanian teachers union, led a strike against the government demanding increased wages to their work. The result was compromise in which the government explained the teachers nationwide would see the minimum wage increase based on their tenure and position as educator. The halted teachers protest in Jordan for the rest of the 2019 academic year, but tensions has risen yet against as the 2020 school year approaches. First is the rising tension. As the effects of COVID-19 began to harm the nation economically, the Jordanian government made the decision to freeze all public sector pay increases in April 2020, which included the pay increases that is promised to teachers and educators as a result of the prior September's teachers' protest in Jordan. The government rationalized the situation due to the unanticipated and detrimental effects of the pandemic had on the country economy. What resulted was a resurgence of the teacher demands from the previous year, and teachers syndicate began preparing to take action against the government decision. Unfortunately, the demands of the teacher union did not make it too far. After months of political actions, the government issued ban on the operation of the union of 2 years arrested. All 13 council members of the union in July 2020 is in response. Teachers and now disbanded union relied on the protest across the nation to refute unlawful action of the government, talk to arrest and advocates of fair pay for educators. At this protest, police and detained nearly 1,000 teachers on the grounds and new coronavirus legislation that prevented the gather of large groups of people. Now, as a school are not reopened while navigating the difficulties of education in times of social distancing, many schools do not have teachers. The question number 3 is, what are the sample of faculty development program? So here in the Philippines, there are policies and research program. The Policy and Research Program, or the PRP, aims to strengthen evidence-based decision-making through the oversight, promotion, and conduct a policy development, research and sector monitoring, and evaluation. The policy and research activities under 3 key resource areas. First is the policy development. Second, research management. Third, sector monitoring and evaluation. So first, let us talk the policy and research program. Also includes the Basic Education Research Fund, or the BERF, a funding mechanism for deep ed researches, which is managed by the region. Deep ed personnel may avail of this grant providing that they are qualified based on the issued guidelines. Beneficiaries, decision makers, and policy makers, together with their technical staffs, with the direct beneficiaries of the policy and research program, capacitating them develop, review, and analyze policies, manage, conduct, and utilize research, and conduct and utilize its results. Setting up standards on policy development, research management, and sector will also ensure the efficient implementation of various programs and policies of the Department for Deep Ed personnel from the schools up to the national office who are qualified for the grant will be its direct beneficiaries. The second program is the Basic Education Inputs Program. The Basic Education facilitates the Basic Education Fund. It is the funding facility of the department for its school building, which covers the environment or the improvement and maintenance of the school facilities. And school be utilized for the prevention of the classroom, workshops, replacement of old dilapidated buildings, prevention and for new chores, repair and rehabilitation of classroom, including water and sanitation facilities and electrification. The second is the textbooks and other instructional materials. This program aims to provide public schools and learning centers qualified text-based learning resources, aligned with the K-12 curriculum as primary basis of supplement and teaching and learning process. The third program is computerization program. This program aims to improve and quality of education by providing public schools with appropriate technologies that would enhance the teaching learning process and meet the challenges of the 21st century in terms of technological advancement. Additionally, the program shall also provide new e-classroom packages to each public elementary school, junior high school, and and senior high school, including the unenergized schools. The first beneficiaries is the kindergarten, elementary, junior high school, senior high school, public schools, and all mobile teachers. The fourth is learning tools and equipment for science and math equipment. 5 is the learning tools and ALS equipment or the fourth PBL. The third program is inclusive educational program. It is the core principle of the K-12 basic education program. This promotes the right of every Filipino to qualify, equitable, culture-based, and complete basic education. Through inclusive organization or the education, all Filipinos will realize their full potential and meaningfully contribute to building the nation. The inclusiveness of the K-12 education is also expressed through existing programs such as special education or the SPED, indigenous people education or the IPED, madrasa education, and flexible learning options or the FLO, including alternative delivery modes or the ADM and alternative learning system or the ALS, which addresses the needs of the particular learnings. The principle of inclusion promotes the institutionally sensitivity and responsiveness nature, situation, and realities of other countries, learners, and directs the department of proactively address this through the curriculum and the said programs. First is the multi-grade education program, one of the continuing initiatives of the Department of Education or the DepEd, along its trust and increasing access to quality elementary education, is strengthening the implementation of the multi-grade program in the Philippines education or the MPPE. Multi-grade education program addresses pressing concerns and issues to the provision and customized teaching and learning materials for multi-grade classes and professional development of teachers. Second is the special education or the SPED program. This special education program specifically aims to enhance access and upgrade the quality of SPED programs and services, as well as the raise of efficiency of education services directed towards all recognized SPED centers for elementary and secondary schools with classes for learners with special needs. The ultimate goal of SPED is the inclusion of the children with special needs into the regular school system and eventually in the community. Third is the Madrasa Education Program. The Madrasa Education Program or the MEP aims to provide the Muslim learners with the appropriate and relevant education opportunities within the context to their cultures, customs, traditions, and interests through the integration of the Arabic language and Islamic values education or the Alive program in the basic education curriculum so that the Muslim citizens shall have the intellectual and educational capacity to participate actively in the social, economic, and political endeavors of the country. Fourth is the Indigenous People Education or the IPN program. The Indigenous People's Education Program is the DepEd response to the right of indigenous people or the IP to basic education that is responsive to the context, respects and their identities, and promotes their indigenous knowledge, skills, and other aspects of their cultural heritage. Additionally, the IPED program supports the realization of the K-12 basic education curriculum, which subscribes the following standards and principles that are inclusive, culture sensitive, and flexible enough to enable and allow schools to localize, indigenize, and enhance based on the community's educational and social context. The fifth is the flexible learning option, or the alternative learning system, or the ALS. The alternative learning system is a program aimed to providing an alternative path of the learning for the out-of-school youth and adults who are basically literate but have not completed 10 years of basic education as mandated by the Philippine Constitution. Through this program, schools, these dropouts will be able to complete elementary and secondary education outside the formal system. While in Jordan, programs in their secondary schooling project overview, the USAID inclusive school programs will construct and furnish 30 Ministry of Education schools throughout Jordan. The program seeks to increase access to high-quality, inclusive education for all students. The schools will provide adapted, inclusive, and safe learning environments that responds to the Ministry of Education strategic plan and align with USAID, Jordan's country developed cooperation strategy in 2020 to 2025. What makes the Inclusive Schools program unique is that the school facilitates will accommodate students who have physical disabilities and special needs, ensuring equal access to all. In addition to providing inclusive spaces where children can learn, and program will also reduce overcrowding in the school and in the dependence of double shift and rented schools. The school will be energy efficient, made with local materials that easy for the government of Jordan to operate and maintain. The improved school buildings and equipment will encourage expanded community involvement with the school and their students. Expected achievements: build and furnish 30 new schools with fully equipped science, computer, and vocational labs, which will accommodate 35,000 students per year. The program will provide furniture, equipment, and accessories to equip learning spaces that meet the needs of all students. Increase the enrollment rates of persons with disabilities in the educational system. Provide improved and safe learning environment that promotes critical thinking and student-centered learning. Create positive attitudes toward the inclusion of students with disabilities in schools and raise awareness about the importance of their education. Reduce Ministry of Education use of overcrowded, double-shifted, and rented schools. Maximize and community involvement in the school. Fourth question is, what are the organizational structure here in the Philippines and to your troops in force? The organizational structures here in the Philippines are: first is the principal. Her role in student discipline is much like that of a judge and a jury. A principal decides whether the student is guilty of a disciplinary infraction and what penalty she should enforce. An effective principal always documents discipline issues, makes fair decisions, and informs parents when necessary. Second is the head teachers. A head teacher's principal duties are to lead, organize, and manage to the school, maintain proper order and discipline in the school, and be in charge of the supervise and the education of the students. Next is the guidance coordinator. The guidance coordinator conducting individual and group counseling session to advise and assist students with an academic and vocational development. evaluating students' attributes and assisting them in realizing their objectives, developing and implementing counseling strategies with contemporary methods of mentoring, followed by the guidance counselor. The guidance counselor are certified professionals employed by schools and academic institutions to assess and advise students about academic and professional decisions. Next is the librarian. Instruct students in selecting and using research materials and technology. Plan, organize, coordinate, oversee, and provide library service in assigned school libraries. Purchase and catalog books for library collection. Process and circulate library books materials and equipment. Process and shelf library. Followed by a teacher. A teacher is responsible for preparing lesson plans and educating students at all levels. Their duties include assigning homeworks, grading tests, and documenting progress. Teachers must be able to instruct in a variety of subjects and reach students with engaging lesson plans. Last is the student. So the organizational structure in Jordan is
first the kindergarten, followed by basic education and training, and secondary education and training, which is the secondary training and secondary education. Next is the higher education. There are two, which is the higher training and university education, and last is the highest educational structure is the advanced studies.